The Sandokai is a poem. 22 couplets, 44 lines. We're going to chant it in a minute. Follows a pattern of discontinuity, of duality, and then continuity. And then this and that, and then this, that, this. Just bow. It embodies what it teaches. It's the interpenetration, the merging, the entangling, entwining of the world of the everyday, which is particular. You better pay attention to the particular or you'll trip, or you won't appreciate this amazing sun that's moving in the sky. It is the everyday world is it. And it is simultaneously a world of one, interpenetration, interbe, suchness, isness, oneness. And they're not two different things. That's the beautiful and amazing teaching, is they are not two separate things. Our mind just perceives them this way because it's the only way our mind can perceive. We understand one thing by setting it up against the other thing. Suzuki Roshi calls it a reason, branching streams flow on in the dark, his commentary. Things as it is, not things are as they are. When he said things as it is, everybody said, did he really mean that? Did he know what he was saying? And because he was sort of Sino-Japanese and he talked about interdependency, as he made up words as he went. Things as it is. What a mystery. We don't have a sense of mystery and wonder about this life. I think we're not paying attention. Just pick up any one thing and it will fall into Mel Weissman. Oh, we were just at Tassajara with the wildland firefighter retreat. And the firefighters took his rock, dragged his 500 to 700 pound rock up the steep incline up to the Suzuki Roshi Memorial Site. And my understanding is that one of Mel's most favorite phrases is, what is it? What is it? Keep looking, keep asking. Study the mystery. Do not pass your days and your days and nights in vain. Please know what you know, and then don't know at the next moment. Because that's where an appropriate response will arise from. The Sandokai is chanted every day in Soto Zen temples around the world. So we're going to put, we have it here in our chant books on page 9, and Kristen's going to put it up on the screen. Let's chant it together. It's a poem. So, I mean, of course, use your mind because you have a mind, but I'm going to encourage you, because we're going to go over it line after line, is just be with it. Let it enter your senses. Feel it in your body, taste the words. Some phrases may come forward. Harmony of difference and equality.
The mind of the great sage of India is intimately transmitted from west to east. Human faculties are sharp or dull. The way has no northern or southern ancestors. Spiritual source shines clear in the light. The branching streams flow on in the dark. Grasping at things is surely delusion. According with sameness is not enlightenment. All objects of the senses interact and yet do not. Interacting brings involvement, otherwise each keeps its place. Silence vary in quality and form. Sounds differ as pleasing or harsh. Refined in common speech come together in the dark. Clear and murky phrases are distinguished in the light. The four elements return to their natures, just as a child turns to its mother. Fire heats, wind moves, water wets, earth is solid, eye and sight, ears and sounds, nose and smells, tongue and taste. Thus with everything, depending on these roots, leaves spread forth. Trunk and branches share the essence, revered in common, each has its speech. In the light there is darkness, but do not take it as darkness. In the dark there is light, but do not see it as light. Light and dark oppose one another, like the front and back foot in walking. Each of the myriad themes has its merit. Phenomena exist, oxen lid fit, principle responds, arrow points meet, hearing the words, understand the meaning, do not set up standards on your own. You do not understand the way right before you, how will you know the path as you walk? Progress is not a matter of fear, far or near, but if you are confused, mountains and rivers block your way. I respectfully urge you who study the mystery, do not pass your days and nights in vain.
Okay, Sandokai, little history brief. I did a little more on Tuesday. Seikido Kisen, born in southern China, 8th century, 700 to 790. He was a seminal figure because out of him flowed I'm double checking this. The sixth patriarch was his teacher, very important person in our lineage. There's a lineage chart at the back of this book. We don't spend a lot of time with the traditional lineage, but it's here and it's important. Any ancestor is important, no matter what your tradition, because we stand on their shoulders. So Soto Zen and Rinzai Zen flowed from here, two different schools of Zen, same roots. Southern, we'll notice the first line about Southern and Northern schools, Southern and Northern. No Northern or Southern ancestors. Two different ways, but don't get so caught up in it, and they're different. So the Southern school, more sudden and sharp, it's defined more self-power and is more Rinzai based tradition. Northern is more slow and gradual and called other power. Great faith and gentle grandmotherly mind. You trust in Buddha's illumination, we trust more faith and devotion, and that's our tradition. But of course, it's always a swinging gate. It's a little bit of both. The title, again, reviewing a little bit. Sandokai. It's so great that it's all just so, it's just embedded everywhere, but of course it's embedded in everything. San is things, the material, the world that we define as outer, but also inner. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, a world of distinguishing this and that. It's the world of our experience. And it's the world that will cause us to suffer because, of course, we all have our preferences. We all have our agendas. We all have our opinions. We all want what we want, and we don't want we don't want anybody to take it away. And then once we have it, we want to hang on. I mean, the study itself, there's the Buddha, just more and more, it's like, why is the world so crazy right now? Yeah, well, it's just like greed, hate, and delusion. studying. And we have a choice moment after moment. So that's the world of song. This is not like this is a problem we're going to get over. It's we're waking up in the midst of it. Thank you very much, Buddha and world. Do. Do is just all of reality appearing moment after moment, and our mind includes, our heart includes everything. On the most essential level, there is nothing that is other or that you can put outside. And we get a taste of this in Zazen. Dogen's called it dropping body and mind. Just, I call it alive. It's, actually, I got that from one of the ancestors, but anyway, I've claimed it as my own. What is this alive? Suzuki Roshi says, so our understanding is that there is one whole being that includes everything, and that the many things are found in one whole being. If you say it is many, it is many. If you say it is one, it is one. Many and one are different ways of describing one whole being. I know one of Marianne's favorite sayings is not one, not two. I mean, she got that too. It's something original here. And Kai, Sandokai. Sandokai is to shake hands. I bow. Feeling of warmth and friendship and intimacy. And Suzuki Roshi said, it's like shaking hands, warm hand to warm hand, with a feeling of, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Just to each thing, each moment. What is it? And inherent in it is a deep sense of everything's okay, even if it's hard. It's like it's just this. Doesn't mean to be passive. It doesn't mean that there isn't, the world is perfect and it could use a little improvement. Please, it could use a little improvement, but let's just keep bowing and then from here, see what arises next. It's very intimate. Another word for enlightenment is intimacy. That's always been, I think you all know, I'm not so hot on the word enlightenment because it never, don't ask me. Intimacy feels like something I can taste, feels close. It's conveyed through relationship, through a sense of mutuality, that it's going both ways. There's no gap right here. And it's expressed through being completely willing to express and to share our lives and practice with each other. Just show up. Okay, that was all kind of a review. Now I'm jumping into some new, but never a review because I don't know what I did 2 days ago, and whatever I knew then, it's probably a little more and a little less than I did then. So we can just keep doing the same thing forever. And I have to leave my hat because it's still moving and changing. Okay. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately transmitted from west to east. Intimate. Things as it is. Zazen body. Zazen alive. The mind of the great sage of India, the heart mind of the great sage of India, the heart mind of Buddha, our heart mind, Buddha, nature. Just full appreciation of alive each moment. Let me read you a couple things. I'm on page 31 and 33. Buddha's way is the study, this is Suzuki Roshi. Buddha's way is the study and teaching of human nature, including how foolish we are. It's so sad and it's so funny. what kinds of desires we have, our preferences and our tendencies. Without sticking to something, I try to remember to use the expression liable to. We are liable to, or we have a tendency to do something. This is my motto. Then is not something to talk about. It is what you experience in true sense. It is difficult. But anyway, this is a difficult world. So don't worry. Wherever you go, you have problems. You know, the great quote by Suzuki Roshi that the problems that you have today, and everybody thought he would tell them that how to get rid of them. He said, you will always have. And everybody just went, oh. You just wake up in the practice, you bow to the problems. You have exactly the right problems. We really do. You should confront your problems. It may be much better to have these problems of practice rather than to see some other mixed up kinds of problems. So clarity, just alive, just appreciate your lunacy and pray for help. You know, that's one of my favorite slogans. And very simple, when you get up, you should just get up. And when everyone sleeps, you should sleep. Not so hard, but we all know. We like to make things very complicated, right? So we keep practicing to let go of our emotional discriminations and likes and dislikes, good and bad, to see things as it is, a swinging gate. That's why this time is such a great time to be alive, because if you're anything like me, it's very clear. I have very strong feelings about a lot of, I always have, but now it's not so distant. And because my life is Bodhisattva vows, how to respond, how do we help, how do we be here? I have no idea, but I do know. This is the ground we keep coming back to. We do everything with a feeling of respect and attention, because everything has its own absolute value. It goes against measuring ourselves or anybody else with some standard. We appreciate the uniqueness of each person, each thing. And there is evaluation and discrimination, comparison. But discernment is different than judgment. Doesn't mean don't see what's in front of you, but how, the body with which we perceive and respond. How do we make appropriate discernments without ever forgetting about the world of dough? We can choose one thing without feeling negative towards the other. This is our practice. What bodhisattvas do. And we appreciate everything even when we're not in alignment or agreement with it. This is hard, but it's our practice. Second line. While human faculties are sharp or dull, the way has no northern or southern ancestors. Suzuki Roshi, when he did these talks, and actually there's videos that I should find, and we could post them. He had a great, one of those great big white charts, and he was writing stuff, and so this wasn't like just he would give a little talk. He was actually teaching line by line and figure by figure. Ninkan ni ridon ari is the while human faculties are sharp or dull, the way has no northern or southern ancestors is a translation of this. Nin means human. Kan means root or potentiality. So Ninkan is human potentiality. To be a Buddha, that we already are. To be a Bodhisattva, that we is. And that is things as it is. Ri is someone who has an advantage, and Don is someone who has a disadvantage. Okay, this is wonderful. So I'm going to read you some things from Suzuki Roshi, because I'm sure we all would like all the advantages and none of the disadvantages, and that's what we do and how we get into it, right? Because we think somebody's got it, and we don't. One anyway, yeah. We are assured that the clever ones don't always have the advantage in studying and practicing Buddhism. And it's not always the dull person who has the difficulty. Here's from Suzuki Roshi. I am not so sharp, so I understand this pretty well. I actually feel like I know so much less. I am so much dumber than I ever used to be. But it's a wonderful way. I don't understand this process, and sometimes I think it's just because I'm getting old, and I'm sure that's part of it. But it's maybe when you're young, you're burdened so much with knowing and having to know and figure it out, and that's developmentally appropriate. But here Suzuki Roshi says, my teacher always called me Crooked Cucumber. I was the last disciple. But I became the first one because all the good cucumbers ran away. Maybe they were too smart. Anyway, I was not smart enough to run away, so I was caught. And for studying Buddhism, my dullness was an advantage. You think you can get away? Where do you think you're going? I tried for years to get away. I actually thought I went away. But you can't get away. I mean, I don't care what you call or what you're doing, but this fundamentally, you can't. Another one of Mel's was to see one thing all the way through. What is that? So Suzuki Roshi says, either way, it's not so easy. There is some difficulty for both the smart person and the dull person. Compassion. Then teachings are conveyed by a person just hanging around being the person they are. It's like in Zen, people will often say, what does that mean? Why do we do that? You know, and you can track it back, but basically this tradition is just a tradition of hanging out together. And then we do all these forms and these chants, and we have these teachings, but it happens warm hand to warm hand, body to body. It's very intimate and just over time. The teachings are conveyed by a person who is completely willing to be themselves and to share their practice with others. That's why we all come, Sangha. You know, it's each person's teaching their Dharma. Gretchen's teaching her Dharma by being Gretchen, and Debbie, and Kristen, and Constance, and Kyle, and each of you on screen. What is it? Just years of experience and mellowing, the dignity and uprightness of being, each person's particular path. Everyone is given their own dignified place. That's what we practice here, which is to be a Buddha, to be very kind and generous with everyone, to share the joy, to encourage people, to suffer with people when they suffer. Suzuki Roshi says, the practice is not to collect things and put them in your basket, but rather to find something in your sleeve. Lotus Sutra and the jewel in the robe. It's just that before you study hard, you don't know you have something in your sleeve. Buddha and I have the same thing. Oh, that's amazing. It's not out there. It's right here. And it's each person and it's each thing. This is the spirit we must have, no matter what is, no matter what I say, you must study hard. If you don't like what I say, you shouldn't accept it. That is okay. Eventually you may accept it. If you say no, I will say, okay, go ahead, but try hard, whatever you're doing. I think that is the characteristic of Buddhism. Our approach is very wide. And as a Buddhist, whatever that is, you have enormous freedom in your study. Whatever you say is okay. So there is no southern or northern ancestor. Isn't it great? You can't blow it. You fundamentally can't get this wrong. Whatever it is perfect. And as Suzuki Roshi said, we could all use a little improvement. Buddha's way is the study and teaching of human nature, including how foolish we are. We did this one, including desires, preferences, tendencies. Moral standards don't always mean you're being virtuous. This is really important. And the precepts, study the precepts, but you can get as confused around moral standards and do as much harm as there as any place else. Keep studying. Norman Fisher, the understanding that we are conveying is not the wisdom that we are speaking or even the wisdom that we are doing in some identifiable way. It is just fully being the person that we are, each one of us, and that is the dignity of our particular path. Let me just read one more thing, page 48, and then we'll talk about this together. Oh, I already read it. Good, perfect. I'm often way smarter and way dumber than I think I am. To you. I keep being surprised by myself and by life. So I think it's interesting that Suzuki Roshi uses the word just try hard. But there's also the question of right effort and what is this trying hard? And I was, because we just finished the slogans, and I was just down at Tassajara with the firefighters. And the slogan and the word that just kept coming to me is wholehearted. Just be wholehearted. Whatever it is. So why don't we get in groups of 3? We have a little less than 15 minutes, between 10 and 15. You can talk about any of this, please do. You can argue with it. You can not like it. You can like it, whatever's here. I'm curious about wholeheartedness and intimacy. What do they share? Or do they? What do those words mean to you? Okay, so find somebody you don't usually talk to. I'll put you in groups of 3s. Each person maybe has 3 minutes just to explore it, and then we'll